population. With a thunderous round of applause, let's welcome our next panelist, Mr. Neeraj Tandon. Apologies. Come on, everyone. Our next panelist is the head of MEP design at HES2018 India Private Limited. He is a graduate in mechanical engineering with 20 years of experience in MEP design and building industry. Let's welcome with a big round of applause, Mr. Satish Kamble. Our next panelist is the Vice President, Projects of Apollo Hospitals. He's one of the most eminent hospital designers with over 3 decades of experience in the industry, and 45 hospitals have been planned, designed and renovated or even constructed under his leadership. With a thunderous round of applause, and currently ek baat bataun, he's also pursuing PhD from Symbiosis. So with a thunderous round of applause, sir. With a thunderous round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Lalit Verma. Oh, wow. The next and the last panelist of this panel discussion is a CEO of HES Hospitals. He is an MD in anesthesia and is MBA. Moving on to his experience, that's more than 3.5 decades. Yeah, 35 years of experience in the healthcare industry. With a thunderous round of applause, let's welcome CEO Dr. Harish Gupta. Oh yes. I request the console team for chair. Moving on to the next person, 5 panelists and 1 moderator. We welcome the person who has done Masters in Hospital Administration and has been involved in regards to healthcare infrastructure in the industry for more than 17 years and is also involved in projects, my God, that's 15 million square feet in area. Let's welcome Director Projects, HES2018 India Private Limited, Mr. Sameer Mehta as the moderator of the panel from the ground up, Dissecting Capex for MEP in Hospital Planning.
Dissecting MEP Capex, not too easy a subject. On one hand, we contend with passionate engineers who talk standards, compliances. On the other hand, we talk about administrators who are as passionate about maintaining bottom lines. So we had a little discussion in the morning around controlling Capex, controlling OPEX. Let's see if there is a meeting ground between these two. Before we go forward, while Nitin has ably introduced our esteemed panel, let me set the context. We have Mr. Saini who comes in from PGI, which is among the oldest of the hospitals from the group that we talk about, a 2,000-bed remote facility. Many centers of excellence. I'm told about 25,000 kVA, 25 MVA electrical installation set up, 10,000 tons of air conditioning. Next in line we have born in 83, Apollo Hospital Group with nearly 10,000 beds in over 70 hospitals. Third comes Fortis, born in 2001. This particular facility I understand is 340 beds, but overall you have close to 5,000 beds, 425, okay? And 5,000 beds in 50 hospitals. And latest in the generation, a neonate in the context is HES Hospital, established by Dr. Entrepreneur Dr. Harish Gupta, born in 2017. So we have some very diverse healthcare entities, providers here, 2 corporates that have evolved in diverse geographies with an average size of 100 to 200 beds. One behemoth that's evolved over 50 years into a compelling and most sought after institution for postgraduate education. And one which has come up as a multi-specialty hospital and is making the mark. Understandably, the origins and the framework are very different, but the application is same healthcare. So while we may not go into the historical cost because they will not be comparable, we can surely how the numbers add up today. From the perspective of someone who's venturing into healthcare for the first time, the benchmark often tends to be commercial and residential buildings. So we often have people who've not done this before coming to us saying that, when we budget for it, air conditioning it costs us 35,000 a ton, and that's what it's going to cost us. Electricals may not cost us more than 150 rupees a square foot, but healthcare is a very different animal, so which is something we'll figure. For the benefit of those who are going to venture into healthcare projects the first time, let me tell you that MEP engineering is a very wide gamut of services. So we have, starting with fire safety, something that's been much talked about. Applications like hydrants, sprinklers, detectors, gas suppression systems. We have plumbing systems, which will include not merely supply and drainage, but also water treatment systems, effluent treatment systems. We have air conditioning with heating, cooling, ventilation, humidity control. We have electrical systems, of course, lighting, power, but also LV systems like voice, data, access control, CCTV, public address system, and then hospital engineering systems, which include central monitoring. We have pneumatic tube systems, we have medical gases. So these are quite a bit. We add to it the logistics operators like the elevators, escalators, traffic control systems. We shall try and untangle this fairly intricate and complicated web of MEPF systems through the experience of our learned panelists today. So starting here, budgeting is a very important touch point in a project. A 100-bed hospital, as we all know, could easily lighten the purse by almost 60 crores on an average. If this is not done properly, stakeholders can be left clutching at their head, and now you know why this, I think, is a safer bet. We would want to know from you, sirs. We should want to know how have you approached budgeting for hospital infrastructure, who had formulated and at what stage, and have there been surprises along the way? So we'll come to you last, because I know you'll have a very different take on this. Can you start, please?
Well, if you're looking at MEP budgeting for a hospital, now it's mostly experienced with so many hospitals, but let me take you back when we started doing this. It was an evaluation which we did. We got out into a lot of details, listing down everything, getting the costing, then converting into a square feet basis as a guideline. So when we did the next hospital, we found we were very accurate in our estimations.
So you had a benchmark set for you?
We had a benchmark. We first created a benchmark, then validated that benchmark with actual what we constructed. And now it is like, if you say that we want to put up a hospital, we know exactly what is going to go. We still don't do it by square feet basis. It doesn't work on a square feet basis. The smaller the hospital, the larger the percentage of MEP cost, the larger the hospital it reduces. So if you build a 200-bed hospital or maybe a 150-bed hospital, it could go as high as 40% also. But as the hospital size increases, the MEP percentage will definitely come down.
Mr. Chandan, can we have that?
Basically, hospital designs versus a normal building is very, very different. Apparently, it doesn't look different, but it is quite different because a lot of different things happens inside the hospital building. So when we design and budgets on something like, we must keep it in mind what kind of facility we are going to create, what kind of facilities with the ways, whether we are going in for efficient controls into the system, what is our benchmark, what we look at 30 years beyond time, whether average life cycle of a building will be met with the kind of budgeting we are doing. So MEP costing depends and revolves around what design we are going to offer and what we expect giving the services to our patients.
Is there a huge variability in that framework that you see?
Variation is there because variation comes if we leave the location of a project. Suppose we are going into a rural background and catering to a different population. Yes, there will be variation, capex cost will be lesser. But if we are going into a macro kind of a structure and offering up the best of the facilities, then yes, definitely the costing is somewhere around 30 to 35%.
Pardon me, sir, but application remaining the same and standards remaining what they are, right? The variability between a rural and an urban setting.
No, we may not be offering all kinds of services to rural class. Say, if we are going in with oncology, the cost is different. If we go going without an oncology program, the cost vary. Yes.
Sorry, sir, can we have your take?
So it's, as rightly pointed out, the kind of hospital you are going to construct, the design, planning, the standards, norms which you are going to follow. Well, whether you want to make a green and energy efficient hospital, RIA-rated, you will have to have different MEP specs, you will be going efficient equipment, so cost is different. If you construct a normal hospital, it's different. Yes, it goes department-wise also as to what are the departments the hospital would cater to. Thirdly, for estimation, in government sector for us it's simpler. We follow CPWD pattern. There is a CPWD schedule of rate. Fortunately, in last 1 year we have two schedules now. One is for normal building and another is for green building. So mostly thumb rule or standard rates are available to us, and if I have to get my project through fast, I stick to that. If I have to deviate, then I have to justify. So that's what is in
So in
government.
your case, the experience would have been very different because you have a history to this organization. So how did you start, and as you stand today, when you speak of the schedule of rates that's available, does it cover elements like the isolation panel that the gentleman before us just spoke about? If not, then how do you get covered for it?
Yes, it's continuing education for us also in hospital. While I travel through my life with PGI, we have been attending to number of such summits, conferences. We get in touch with people and learn more and more about it. Yes, like in PGI, we have modular OTs. We have best of the ICUs, which are competitive to any other my corporate friends. We have isolation transformers, as the gentleman was talking. And fortunately or unfortunately, I was also the member of the committee wherein this 20 kVA isolation transformer was decided for the 6 new wings which are coming up as part of the modular OT package, if I am not incorrect. There the equipment load comes from user or the doctors in the committee, and they were very particular that 10 kVA would not be enough when they calculated. So 20 kVA though was decided, but it was not decided whether you need to have a single 20 kVA unit or you can have multiples. So that way, yes.
Satish, you are on the other side of the table. So when people approach you for starting your projects, have you encountered that you've had to share from the scratch, or they're usually tuned into what it takes? What's your experience been like?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Hostman. Thank you, Dr. Desai, for this platform, first of all. Regarding the MEP capital expenditures or budget, as a designer, as an ideal designer, it should be a client specific, basically. Then we should be aware that the client wants to build a low, medium, or high-end hospitals. And second is whether it is energy efficiency or hospital, or the compliance you want to do. So as per that, the budget should be decided. So as per the experience and as per the various projects which I have done, When we say about low to high-end hospital, the budget comes, from 1200 square feet, or 1200 rupees per square feet to 1800 rupees per square feet. That is what the budget is about the MEP. Comes total.
This is from your experience that these are the numbers that eventually emerge.
Correct.
So can we have your opinion? For you specifically, sir, were there surprises on the way, having started where you did with a certain figure in mind?
Yeah, there are a lot many surprises. In fact, major surprises in the MEP. As the first time hospital entrepreneur, I just did not understand when Satish used to tell me that this is going to be the cost of MEP. And when actually it came onto things, it actually was. So nowadays, we are, as somebody rightly pointed out, that you have to grade the hospital, like Ayushman coming up. Have you seen the rates? I don't know if you've seen the rates. I wonder if anyone would be able to, manage the hospital with those rates. So having said that, we have to categorize the hospital all right, but then that safety of the patient is so important that even if your category is low category hospital, the safety cannot be compromised. And major expense in MEP is patient safety. That is what I have learned. It is not about air conditioning, or air conditioning in any case is there, but this electrical safeties, fire alarm systems, the water content, the STP, firefighting, ETP, the pollution norms. Pollution norms remain the same even for a low budget hospital or a high budget hospital. Fire alarm system remains the same. So only the decor or the floor or the ceiling, those things change. I wonder if there's any major change. The cost difference is not going to be major. So MEP really gives you a shock, when it actually comes into being implemented.
So one point you made, Dr. Gupta, was patient safety is a guiding criteria.
It is the most important criteria these days to save yourself from any problem later on.
Something that an accreditation body by name of NMBH dwells on at length. So when we speak of compliances, is there a choice to not go with the standards?
No, there is no choice. The government has not left us with any choice. You go for ECHS, you go for NABH, you go in even the insurance companies. They demand NABH or at least the first level NABH. Probably it was supposed to be done by the 22nd of July, which has been now extended for a year, that you have to get yourself NABH panel within this year to continue with your insurance policies. And now the penetration of insurance is quite a bit, especially in a place like say Chandigarh, Delhi, Bombay. It's close to 30-40%.
Alright, Mr. Verma, as you would be aware, NABH has very selective facility prescriptive standards which pertain largely to operating room. So how do we approach compliances around other areas other than operating rooms? If I were to say that I need to be NABH compliant, what is the set reference standards that I should consider?
NABH per se doesn't talk anything about infrastructure, nor does JCI talk about infrastructure. It's all about experience as to ultimately they look at clean, dirty, segregation, patient safety, clinical protocols. So, every hospital over a period of time by the experience develop some level of standards that they know this has to be done. So this is what we did for our Navi Mumbai hospital. Within 6 months we got JCI, which no hospital has done that. And we did not have to spend any money on the infrastructure. This our thing is there, patient falls are there, patient suicides are there, it's a whole lot of gamut. So it's not only about earthing and electrical. Electrical is one component of it, yes. See, what we have experienced, fire as we were talking, mainly it is electrical. The main reason of electrical fires is overloading of wires. You put 2 sockets, the doctor says, I want another 2, you just loop it up. This is what we have seen.
So sir, you also acquired properties that have not originally been planned by you.
Yes.
So how do you approach compliance there?
We have modified them. We have, in fact, one facility in Chennai we ripped it down to the shell and rebuilt it up because it did not comply with things. So we are kind of, not doing much of those things. We are doing that in Guwahati now. Part by part, we are stripping down the facility to the shell and rebuilding it. That's how we are doing it.
We took JCI in the year 2007 and now we are JCI compliant hospital and we are the ones we are getting good number of foreign patients as well. Yes, JCI has got different standards than MEP. They talk about fire safety all across. They want to isolate 2 blocks. They want to isolate all the shafts. They want automated systems through and through. They need fire rating walls in between. So these are some of the safety compliant. If you are doing modification or construction, then they are introducing a new norm which is known as ICRA. Earlier it was ICRA. So ICRA, infection control guidelines, patient safety, these all, they are very strict about it. Apart from that, if you are having some kind of a crash program for kids, they are very, very strict on that.
So have these added to the capex that you had originally planned?
No, we were not, but while taking JCI, we did all these, like we did fire rated doors or compartmentalization, then integration of that with fire alarm systems. In any circumstances, if there is a fire alarm, that AHU should be shut off, smoke traveling should not be there, smoke eradication systems should be there. Then they are very particular about water qualities. You need to get RO check from a third party standards. They are following international standards, so they ask you for that. In case there is a contamination in the water, they look at how you have you done root cause analysis and what are the ways forward, whether you are maintaining the water levels to the standards. In case, what is your policy, whether your patients or otherwise the exit doors are closed or not, whether they are integrated, whether in case they are not, then whether the security system is such, patient may not do a suicide.
So you had envisaged these and accounted for these and therefore there were no surprises for you?
There were no surprises.
Coming back to you, Verma sir, you said that MEP on an average could stretch up to 40% of the hospital infrastructure budget. But is that a percentage which has evolved over the years of your experience?
Building budget. Building cost per square feet is what the management wants to listen to. It's not the right thing to do.
It's not the right thing to do. But
I'll give one example. If you take a 100-bed hospital, you have a CT and MRI and one cath lab. In a 200-bed hospital, you'll have the same thing. So how do you relate the cost per square feet? Electrical load will change, air conditioning load will change. So it's not the right thing, but we still have to do it. We do have cost per square feet because people like to listen to that.
It gives you a benchmark, sir, but the question was, in your experience over the years, have you seen the component of MEP capex evolving in a significant manner?
Not really, because I tell you, if you were to look at MEP component, like we were talking about different categories of hospitals, we don't change the specification of any MEP system. We may not have it. We may not have air conditioning in a low-end hospital, or we may not have a pneumatic tube. We may not have those things. We'll save cost in that manner, but not by lowering the specifications. Our specifications are standard for any hospital. I may not have one product, that's fine, but we will not go in for split units or other kind of air conditioning systems.
Speaking of that, sir, we had a little interaction yesterday, and contrary to the perception that we have of government hospitals which have large non-admission spaces, there's an increasing impetus by the government and also by the stakeholders like PGI to gradually air-condition their facilities wholly and centrally. Can we have your take on whether central air-condition is absolutely a necessity today, sir? Saini, sir.
If you ask me, really, yes. In today's environment, the OPD building which you saw yesterday, where air conditioning is not a luxury. 10,000 patients, at least 20,000 people visiting the building every day makes it very crowded and suffocated. Even the doctors have tough time, examining the patients. So there has been a demand. Though let me share with you, when we initially commissioned this OPD building, it was only an air-cooled building. That's the one and only building which has been air-cooled. All others are either nothing or air-conditioned. So our newer projects are all air-conditioned. And we have a very strong belief that the comfort conditioning enhances the patient cure rate, which is already established scientifically. It reduces infection if designed and implemented properly. So to cater to the demand which was coming both from patient attendants and the faculty and staff working there, we took up this challenge to air condition the building, and I don't consider it a luxury today, it's a necessity.
So the impetus is comfort of the patient?
And staff, doctors, both, all of them together.
How important is infection control in the scheme of things?
As we all know, infection control is the most important aspect of any patient care organization. If I am not incorrect, the infection rate in certain areas, hospitals go as high as 7 to 10% in India, which is much more than the benchmark.
So, Sahib, allow me to interrupt you and give, share it in the context why I asked you this. Comfort air conditioning is important because to take care of the patients. And when I speak of infection control, we're talking of filtration, certain air changes which all add to the cost. So, is that something that you're willing to look at and spend more about?
It's not only filtration. There are a number of means and ways by which I can control infection. I've studied it very closely. In 2000, when I presented a paper at AIMS, I just talked about from where we take air into the air conditioning system and from where we dispose of. If you look at the complete cycle, you would be surprised to know that many things we miss. You may be taking fresh air just adjacent to a DG exhaust or just adjacent to a toilet stack, right? And getting the infection entered right from there. Your paint, your furniture, there are many things in the passage of air conditioning system which add to infection. This is one. Second, number of air changes or air circulation rates, the pressure differential between inside and outside areas. Proper designing of the system as a whole is very important, and it's not filtration which would enhance. Filtration of course enhances the infection control mechanism, but it is not the only thing. There are vast variety of parameters and areas which you will have to control to have a proper infection control. Even I would put it that for my architectural friends, that if I properly design my hospital building considering the solar pathway and all that stuff, I can control infection from that design itself.
Satish, your take? Central air conditioning, how important, necessary, not necessary?
Yeah, central air conditioning is definitely an important factor for a hospital because the central air conditioning takes care of, first of all, filtration, which is required for healthcare as per healthcare standard. Then the humidity control is essential for infection control. That is going to come by central air conditioning only. Third is a lot of air changes. There are specified air changes are happening as per the various department standards. So due to that air changes, the oxygen replaces with a lot of carbon monoxide and oxide generated inside the building. So that is what the air changes is. And the temperature, the comfort temperature, say for OT we require around 21 degrees centigrade. For ICU it is 23, so there are a lot of temperature requirements are there which is going to come by central air conditioning. So as per me, if the central air conditioning is a must for a healthcare facility.
If I can't afford, Satish, what are my choices? Am I set up a hospital then?
I would still suggest that if you cannot afford, but as a client, suppose my budget is low, so then I should do certain energy efficiency factors into my design. For example, there is not necessary that I should design corridor at 21 or 23 degrees centigrade. I can design corridors at higher temperatures, maybe say 26 degrees centigrade, and that may come down my capital cost of the air conditioning as well as the operating cost of the air conditioning.
So, Baba sir wants to talk about. Sir, 1 second. Before you do that, can we have your comments?
Yes, Satish. I don't know. I mean, these days there's a lot of humidity over here.
I've touched a lot also.
Yeah. And you've been designing. You've been responsible for the design of my hospital. Very well designed. Thank you so much. But at the same time, in winters we have a problem. The whole hospital is running on hot water to keep it warm, and the operation theatre at that point in time goes to 28 degrees. So then you probably were designing. I mean, you did not know this would happen. So now the surgeons are sweating. We are now asking for air conditioning, the normal air conditioning coils being put into the AHUs, so that the temperature at that point comes down. Now in this weather, what has happened now is that the humidity is not going down. Now if you design a corridor or anything at 26 degrees, how are you going to manage the humidity?
Satish, can we have
It is a big problem. Now my CT scan room has got humidity of 90%. Today also when I was coming, the engineer is telling me we are not responsible if something goes wrong there.
Sir, the smiles say that this is a very common problem. So let's have Satish's take on that.
No, let me speak my heart out here now these days. So it's now my operation theatres are not having that humidity level. The machine yesterday only the anesthesia machine stopped working, and the engineer says the humidity is more than 60%. I am not responsible. I have now placed isolated dehumidifiers in the operation theatres and CT room because we are not able to maintain the humidity. I don't know why. Because now somebody suggested that you should have the heating elements in the AHU. Now I'm not an engineer here. You guys are 4 of you are sitting there. You should have done it earlier. Now we are in a fix. So
Satish, your take, please.
Okay. See, regarding the humidity control, sir, definitely we should have a heater. It's already specified. We always specify in our BOQ that whenever OT is there, you should have a steep heaters in the OT, or you can have a hot water coil, to control the humidity. And apart from that, there are certain chill water settings are there, which are always a contractor miss it out. So I would just touch upon that also. When you are controlling the chill water temperatures, the supplier temperature has to be sensed, and then that that signal should be given to the chill water modulating valve. Okay, so that depending upon the supplier temperature, the valve can modulate to control the flow and temperature and the humidity. And the return air temperature should be connected to the VFD drive to modulate the airflow. What is happening? People do reverse thing. They connect the supply with the VFD drive and return with the modulating valves.
Is it lack of awareness or is there some cost saving?
No, it's a lack of awareness definitely. So if you do that, what will happen when the supplier temperature is sensed with the modulating valve? You will always have chill water coil with the chilled water inside. If it goes off, the unconditioned air will pass inside the operation theatre, and that will cause the humidity to grow on. Okay, that is one of the crucial things which we should do.
it's a problem that he faces. So Mr. Tandon, you smile, so...
It's not a BMS. We have our local control systems always for operation theatre. Secondly, in this type of hospital, we did not propose a central meeting. So then the DX coil should be there because in the winter, in the Chandigarh area like Haryana, we have a extreme weather temperature here. So we can run the operation theatre on the DX coil separately by putting chiller off. So that is the solution. Is there for the humidity and the temperature control.
So Tandon, you had some point to make on this. You smiled when you spoke of humidity.
Humidity plays a very crucial role both in outcome of the patient and comfort of the doctors operating on them. Apart from that, infection control rates goes up if you are not maintaining that. That is something very, very important, and
is that a challenge you face?
It is a challenge, definitely. Earlier, this part of country was not seeing that kind of humidity. Now the weather is changing, and the longevity of humidity levels, say, till September we are facing humidities. Earlier, the scenario was different.
So is it time to change the metrics in the issue?
Absolutely. Otherwise, you cannot control that because half of your portion is at 26-27, some portion is at 21-22. Hot air mixing with the cold air will give condensation, and condensation will be there, and that can lead to making molds, bacterial growths. Hospital-acquired infection rates goes up. We've seen this trend. And
so have you arrested this?
We have, with new equipments, when we design new part, there is a linear accelerator which is in down to basement, and definitely that is a very expensive equipment. So we designed a dehumidifier system along with HU to address the humidity levels there. Apart from that, we have full coil system to hot water and to chilled water system. So we can do with that, but that is a very expensive proposition. Hot water running into the hot water coil with the air conditioner, that's the easiest way. You can humidify or you cannot afford going down and chilling the system below dew point. That's absolutely not an answer.
Verma sir, I thought you had a solution to my problem. If I
don't have a solution to your problem, but what I'm trying to tell you is that everybody finds that air conditioning is becoming more of a nightmare. You may design the best system, but how you operate the system is very important. 90% of the problems are how you operate the systems. Everybody wants to save power. When they get big fat electricity bill, they up the temperature of the chiller to 10 degrees, and then you start having problems. So, an answer whether HVAC is required for infection control, I would say it is location specific, department specific. Like if you are in a nice place where the weather is not very hot all around, you could do with what you call natural ventilation, which is one of the best ways to have infection control. So HVAC not necessary.
The temperature is okay, I might be contending with dust situation.
Exactly, so I'm coming to that. You have dust, you have mosquitoes, you have flies, and you have noise. So the moment you have noise, you close your windows, then you get suffocated, so again you go back to air conditioning. So you have to evaluate the location of a hospital, see the temperature conditions, and see how you want to do your air conditioning. Like if you look at some hospitals in Singapore, they are all naturally ventilated, especially the inpatient areas and the corridors. They don't have any air conditioning, and the humidity levels in Singapore are very high. They are still very comfortable. All you need is cross ventilation, which we do not have in this country. No person can design a building with cross ventilation because you don't have that kind of land. You just make a big block and you end up. So there are a lot of issues to it. There's no one answer to it. It works very well. And I'll give one example. In one of our hospitals, we don't have any condensation problem because during this weather, he's up the temperature to 27-28 degrees in common areas. See, the higher the temperature, the retention capacity of that air goes up. But what people make a mistake is that at night they increase the temperature, and when they come in the morning, they lower the temperature. All you will have is condensation all over the place. So it becomes more of a problem. So it has to be handled very technically, but I would say 90% of the problems are in how you operate the system. So BMS is it could be as dumb as the person sitting behind the computer.
It is non-functional at night. You can raise the temperature, but keep running the fan.
Yes, you do.
If you keep running the fan, the humidity levels remains under control. But if you switch it off completely and then early morning when you open and switch on your HES and 21 degrees, you will have huge problem. You can see the problem while one case is over, they clean the floor, humidity level goes up by 10% straight. So you have to see how well you can handle it.
Important as it is, when we address the matter of capex, we cannot be talking about capex to the exclusion of operating expenditure. We may end up saving on capital expenditure but lose more on the recurring costs, and therefore a case for star ratings. We have here a hospital that is 3-star. So can you share what it means, a 3-star rating, and what do you stand to gain when you achieve this? So it is.
Clear rating. 3-star, he meant that, if I am correct. Buildings, when constructed, consumes and damages a lot of environment around that. The ground cover, the trees, plantation, vegetation, the total ecology of that area is affected. So green building is designed in such a manner that the impact of construction is on these things are minimal. The non-renewable materials are utilized to the least extent, and renewable energy is utilized to maximize.
So in a setup like yours, 277 acres, huge construction, is net zero an option that you could explore?
At present in public sector,
What is net zero?
with volume, I'll come back. With volume like ours, I don't see in next 5 years, but yes, that's the future for us, and we look forward that net zero buildings are constructed, which are the buildings which do not draw anything from the environment. Meaning thereby they generate their own electricity, they generate their waste and recycle it and reuse it. They consume the water which is recirculated through STP back to their systems, and the usage from outside environment is minimal.
Satish, any new technology that you think would help us reduce capex?
I tell you, when you go energy efficient, let's not talk new or old technologies. In the available technologies, when you go energy efficient and when you calculate the life cycle costing of the installation, you would get to know that you have a lot of saving. Maybe that the initial cost of installation is high, but at the end of the day, if you have installed a 600-ton centrifugal chiller with a coefficient of performance of 6.5, vis-a-vis another chiller which consumes maybe 364 kilowatt per tonnage of refrigeration, vis-a-vis a standard normal chiller which consumes around 0.9, 0.8 kilowatt. When you run in hospital environment 24/7, you would get to know after 10 years that you have saved double the cost of chiller you have installed.
Right, sir. Mr. Verma, you've been one of the champions of the green cause. Could you share with us one example where, having done a life cycle cost analysis, you are willing to spend more and which help you save?
See, actually, again, when you look at a life cycle cost, you look at operating cost, you look at a capital cost, you need to balance everything. So, we always have been doing it in all our hospitals. We look at operating cost and life cycle cost. Capital cost is a one-time expenditure, and it's not that much. It's not
Sir, one instance where we could draw from, something that you've done which you're proud of.
are the first IGVC platinum rated hospital in the country. And we got that, we didn't have to spend a single rupee in achieving that because everything was incorporated in the design. So we didn't have to, I think it...
You are de facto compliant.
Yeah, it just came because we were already doing it.
So, we're running short of time, and the purpose we set out here was to figure what it takes to set up a compliant MEP design installation in a hospital. Let's take it from Mr. Verma. What I know you don't like benchmarks and rule of thumbs and area per square feet kind of thing, metric. But in your experience, what's been the range of MEP cost in absolute figures per square foot?
1,500 to 2,000.
So your experience?
It should be around 3,000 to 3,500 per square foot, excluding land cost.
MEP, sir?
MEP. Yes, MEP.
I see. So what's been your experience like?
I'm undertaking 2 projects at present. One is a 250-bedded expansion of our existing Nehru Hospital. There we have MEP component which comes out more than 50%, as was discussed, and the total per square meter cost is around in the range of 67 to 70,000 per square meter building cost, not MEP. I have another project which we envisage for Neuroscience Center, 300 bedded, and there my MEP cost is 40% of the total project cost, and the cost per square meter as of today is 70,000.
So your take, because when you speak of Ayushman Bharat and this impetus to contain the costs, sir mentions a figure of 6,000 to 7,000 rupees a square foot for construction for building cost. Sustainable?
Tertiary care hospital.
No, I don't think it is sustainable. MEP cost?
Overall building cost?
Total, it is 1,54,000 square feet. We did it in 60 CR.
That's 4,000 rupees a square feet.
Including the land. 52.
That's a huge variability we're looking at, so different contexts, different experiences. Yeah. Satish has shared with us, but yeah, sure.
HOSMAC, we always interacted with HOSMAC on everything, so you people had projected 1,800 rupees as a MEP cost. So we did cut some corners and we got it to around 1,500 rupees. And I think that was reasonably good. And we are quite happy with it, except for this humidity part, which Satish has now promised. I'm quite encouraged by Mr. Verma's talk that it may be some operational problem with our guys, and Satish is going to help us out.
So Satish, when you mentioned these figures of 1,500 to 1,800, is it for a totally compliant system, or is there room for maybe spending a little more but saving more in the ultimate analysis?
Definitely, it will be compliant for all the hospital standards, as well as the energy efficient building. If I say, then it comes to around 1,500 square feet.
So if I were to do a green hospital, I could do so in 1,500 a square foot?
If I had to go for an energy rating kind of thing, then it will go beyond that. Maybe around 1,800 or maybe around 2,000. Certain, PRIA kind of ratings we are opting for. It's very stringent now, so you have to spend more on the capital cost.
Generalize.
Weather conditions are different, whether you are in composite barrels.
Sir, mic though.
No, I'm saying
So, audience also need to ask us.
What I'm saying is that the cost is so different, depends on what is the facility, how many zones are there, what kind of equipment you are using. His cost is also correct, his cost is also correct. It all depends. We have done it all cost. So, it's a very difficult thing to put it as cost. You can talk about even the range, but it all depends on what do you have, what you don't have. Like I'll give you our hospital, which we completed about 2 years back with very high-end finishes. finishes and it looks like a 5-star hotel. We spent 5,000 rupees a square feet with everything, and we have imported chillers, we got DAC chillers, we got Mitsubishi elevators, we got Schneider transformers. On top of it, we have everything there. It's not that expensive. It's all to do with the design.
So, over to the floors.
So I had one query when he said CPWD rates. Do we compare anywhere with CPWD rates? We don't have any rates for corporate sector hospitals. So how do you know? Because for him it probably is easier because there are rates which are already fixed and he has to work within those parameters. So
Those are estimated tentative rates. Actually, we work on detailed estimation thereafter and then get the estimates approved. These are for seeking as administrative approval of authorities when it goes to ministry kind of thing.
it's just benchmark. You don't have to be.
Yeah, benchmark.
So one more question, sir, is that there are three things that I have understood, from one is design, the other is execution, and the third is, like you said, maintenance in terms of operations. Now this is for all five of you. If I have to give weightage out of 100, for these three, how much would you give to all three?
It all starts with the design because your cost and your maintenance nightmares also depend on the design. But after the project is completed, it's 100% maintenance.